Joseph, the dreamer from Canaan, had just been betrayed by his brothers, sold for 20 pieces of silver to Ishmaelite traders. Stripped of his colorful coat, his freedom, and his home, he was now a slave, walking toward an unknown future. This is the story of what happened next, how Joseph faced a grueling journey, a new land, and a life of servitude in Egypt. It's a tale of hardship, resilience, and unshakable hope. Let's follow him. The Ishmaelite traders were merchants, not captors by trade. They dealt in spices, myrrh, and balm, heading to Egypt to sell their wares. Joseph, the young Hebrew boy they'd bought from his brothers, was just another item to trade. For days, maybe weeks, he walked behind their caravan, the sun burning his skin, the ropes rubbing his wrists raw. The journey was brutal. Water was scarce, the heat relentless. Joseph had never been so far from the green hills of Canaan, where he'd herded sheep with his family. Now, surrounded by strangers speaking an unfamiliar tongue, he was alone. The dreams that once filled him with wonder, wheat sheaves bowing, stars shining, felt distant, like echoes of a lost life. Yet, deep inside, Joseph clung to a spark of hope, a belief that his story wasn't over. When the caravan reached Egypt, Joseph stepped into a world unlike anything he'd known. Memphis was alive with color and noise, merchants shouting, priests chanting, the Nile flowing like a lifeline through the city. But for Joseph, this wasn't a place of wonder, it was a place of captivity. The Ishmaelites had no plans to keep him. They were headed to the slave market to sell him for a profit. The slave market was a harsh place. Voices haggled over lives as if they were goods. Joseph, only 17, stood among other captives, his heart racing. He was far from home, far from his father Jacob, far from the brothers who'd betrayed him. Who would buy him? What would his life become? Among the buyers was Potiphar, a powerful man, captain of Pharaoh's guard, a leader in Egypt's elite. He needed workers for his grand household, and something about Joseph stood out. Maybe it was his steady gaze, maybe his unbroken spirit. After a quick exchange of words and coins with the Ishmaelites, Potiphar bought Joseph. For the second time, Joseph was sold, passed from one set of hands to another. The Ishmaelites vanished into the desert, their role in his story done. Joseph, now the property of Potiphar, was led to a new life, one he hadn't chosen, in a land he didn't know. Potiphar's household was a world of wealth and order, but for Joseph, it was a world of servitude. As a slave, he was given the hardest tasks, carrying water, tending stables. Yet Joseph didn't give in to despair. He worked with care, his hands steady, his mind sharp. Joseph wasn't just strong, he was smart. He noticed what needed doing before he was told. He solved problems quietly, efficiently. The overseers began to trust him, giving him more tasks, more responsibility. In a household full of slaves, Joseph stood out. Even Potiphar took notice. This young Hebrew wasn't like the others. There was a strength in him, a purpose. Before long, Joseph was put in charge of parts of the household, managing supplies, overseeing workers. For a slave, this was a rare honor, a sign of trust in a life without freedom. When the day's work was done, Joseph had moments to himself. In the quiet, he thought of home, of his father, his brothers, the life he'd lost. The betrayal stung. But Joseph didn't let it consume him. He believed his life had meaning, even in slavery. Those dreams, the ones that had sparked his brother's jealousy, still lived in his heart. Joseph's journey into slavery was a story of loss, sold by his brothers to Ishmaelite traders, then sold again to Potiphar in Egypt. He was a stranger in a strange land, stripped of everything he'd known. Yet in the face of hardship, Joseph showed us resilience. He didn't let bitterness define him. He worked hard, stayed true to his values, and held on to hope. His story teaches us that even when life takes everything away, we can choose how we respond.